So, got a water leak, which is pretty common if you have a gigantic hole in your roof that's called a sunroof or a moonroof. I figured this was a good opportunity for me to spend some time talking about verifying that that is a problem, things to look at, and ultimately we're going to identify the exact problem. There's a couple of places where it could be. With that exact problem identified, we're then going to jump into a quick repair. I will show you how decently straightforward it is. I'll give you some tips and tricks along the way and tell you where to steer clear from and where to be real careful. And in the end of this, my water leak should be fixed. So there's our problem already. We've got a gigantic hole in the roof. What we have to do is we have to verify which of the drains. We have rear drains and we have front drains. We have to verify which ones of those are plugged. The water's coming from the front, so we're really limited on where the water could be coming from. In my case, I have some holes here. I have my wiring harness that I've cut a hole in the roof to put my wiring harness through. You know, that could always be a problem. I sealed it up pretty good, but we have this gigantic hole right here in the sunroof, and then we have the windshield seal that could also potentially be the problem. So we're going to start with the low-hanging fruit. We're going to pick the easy stuff, and that is going to be, we're going to check the sunroof drains. Okay, so here's the sunroof. Again, we've got drains front and rear and front and rear. We need to start by getting this open, and then we're going to do a quick inspection of the sunroof drains. So, Reverend wanted to come to work with me today, so he's down here. Hi, buddy. Hi. So, sunroofs have seals. We've got a seal here on the glass. This seal is not designed to keep all of the water out. It is not a watertight seal. What it is a seal to encourage most of the water to get out and or to not come in. But what water does come past, we need to get it out. And this is totally normal. It's designed to leak. It is designed to have water come in. And so what we need to do is look at where that water needs to go. And that's going to be looking at the drain channels all the way around, looking at where the drains go into the drain channel all the way around, and then cleaning the drain channel if we need to, and cleaning the drains if we need to. So let's jump into that now. The fact that all of my drain channel is absolutely, I'll get you a little flavor here. The fact that my drain channel all looks like that tells me that when water is getting through, it is not flowing to the exits. So what we need to do is take a closer look at the exits. You can see the nice clean spot, hopefully, where my finger rubbed clean. And we've got a bunch of sand and nastiness in the track, which is this guy here, and then the drain channel is going to be over here. We can see all kinds of pine needles. There's even like a little twig in there. This is a mess. There's a bunch of sand down in the bottom. So we've definitely found a problem. It may not be the only problem, but definitely something to address. Where we're going to go from here is we've got to verify that that's the only problem. If you are considering moving into doing something automotive professionally, consider the fact that, yes, we found an obvious fault here, but there's two more drains that we haven't even looked at, and we can't really look at from where we're at. And so at the end of the day, you don't want to clean these two and then send the customer down the road only to have it still leak because the back two are plugged. If they park on a hill and are dependent on those back two working, water's going to come up over the edge of that and leak into the car. And they're going to come back, and it's not going to look good on you. Now, if you're doing your own car and you just have 5 minutes to get that cleaned out and hopefully get it functional again, by all means, just clean the front 2 drains. But I'm going to show you how to check the rear drains right now. Okay, so here's how we're actually going to test the front drain, or the front and rear drains. And they're individual tests, and we are going to show you how to do both of them here. The way that we do it is we need to get the vehicle on an incline and a decline so that we can pour water into the drain channel and we can verify that water is coming out of the drain. So we'll do that by lifting the front. Now, one caveat I have for this is my Jeep is high enough off the ground. I'm a huge guy and I fit under my Jeep just fine with it being on the ground like this. So I am not too worried about jack stands right now. As a matter of fact, I don't think we have tall enough jack stands in the shop to hold it up. The point of a jack stand would be to make sure to catch the vehicle if it was to fall on you. I'm not going to be under the vehicle, and the vehicle can't fall on me because, one, I'm not going to be under the vehicle, but two, it's tall enough off the ground. If you're working on a Honda Civic or something like that, where you're actually getting it up off the ground, especially if you have little ones around, make sure that you have jack stands under it because they're curious. And the last thing that you want is a little one going underneath the vehicle and having the vehicle come down on them. So jack stands if you need them for this activity. Right now we're going to get the front of this jacked up so that we can test the rear sunroof drains, because that's where the water is going to go when we get the front jacked up. Let's do that. So what we're going to do with the cardboard is we're going to use it to direct the water to where we want it and nowhere else. This is a big thing that you'll run into. If you get water to run where it's not ever designed to be, what you are 100% going to get is water leaking into the vehicle, and you're going to think you have a way bigger problem than you actually have. So let's go ahead and do that. So the other thing that you want to do is make sure that you pour nice and slow, because the last thing that you want to do is run over the top and pour it directly into the vehicle. So I've added some water now, and what I want to do is I want to look down into the drain channel and see I do have water flowing to the back, so I have the front of the Jeep high enough. The fact that water is flowing is a decent indication. At the same time, there's a whole bunch of the track back under the roof. So the water could just be flowing to the low spot and still be stuck up there. So what we need to do to verify that it's draining is we need to go under the Jeep and look where it should be draining. All right, we got water. Okay, now we repeat on the passenger side. Water added, and dang it, nothing. All right, with the back of the Jeep sufficiently lifted, now we're going to go ahead and test the front drains the same way. So if we look down in here, I'm being quiet for a reason. That's a good sound that we just heard. That is the sound of water going down the drain tube. And we've got tons of water dripping. Okay, so that's working perfect. We need to go test the driver's side, so let's go do that. Holding the flashlight so that it lights up the channel all right. We're gonna add some water, and with the water added, we can now take a gander and see. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can actually see crud floating on the water over this direction, which is not a good indication. The drain is over here, right? And the drain's down here. So if water's flowing this direction, that tells me that water's not flowing down the hole. So this isn't totally what I expected in this, and that is that we've got some water in here, and so we are draining a little bit, but not enough. Costume change. So man, it was warm in that sweater. So what we need to do next is we're going to talk about some of the tools that we're going to use to clean up the drain channels. We'll start with this guy right here. We got the air nozzle here, and we're going to use this to blow a lot of that dirt and debris out. One of my favorite tools for cleaning stuff, because it actually pushes the stuff away, and it will, I mean, it always has a lot more power than a vacuum. So it's obviously not going to be pulling the dirt away, it's going to be blowing it away, which leads to bigger messes that we'll talk about. But when we've got 100 PSI coming out of this little nozzle, it's a lot more than the other tool that we need. The shop vac. So one of my favorite tools in the shop vac. What we're going to do is use these together, and I'm going to blow out the drain channel with the vacuum nearby running. And what that will hopefully do is catch a lot of the needles and sand and garbage that's in there and blow it up into the vacuum, not the inside of the Jeep. But we're going to take some steps there too, because we're going to lay down some fender covers inside of the Jeep, or blankets, you know, whatever works. We're going to lay some of those down in the Jeep to cover up the seats and interior dash. We want to make sure that we don't make a bigger mess in all of this. Sometimes it's easier just to do it right the first time than to clean up the mistakes afterwards. So we're going to make sure everything is covered up, and I'm going to show you how to use these together. Okay, so next, what? Why are you looking at me funny? Oh, the safety glasses. Yeah, you should have those too when you're using tools. So we've got some safety glasses on before we start using the blow-in tools and blowing stuff everywhere. Make sure you have them on too. So I'm just going to follow up with a rag at what I can get. And if your fingers are like mine and gigantic and you can't fit them down there, you just put a screwdriver through the rag. And you can use that to push it along the drain channel. Oh, hi. So we're inside now. We're at our C-pillar trim, and we need to get the C-pillar trim off, probably along with this light, and we need to do that so that we can get the headliner down just enough to squeeze our hands up above it and pull the end of the drain tube off. Okay, so dropping the headliner down, I've got the flashlight in there, kind of holding it all down. You can see right there, this is the drain tube right there, and this is the sunroof track. And so what I need to do is get that hose off. The nice thing is, once I pull that hose off of the track, I can bring it out closer to the edge, and I can get the air nozzle right on it. Put the safety glasses on, and then this is nice because this just plugs right in there. And I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure. Okay, so now what I've done is I didn't just blow until air came out. I blew a little bit longer so that way that any crud that might be in there has time to kind of get swept up by the air flowing through and push it out the bottom. So I ran it for a few more seconds. Now all I got to do is plug this in. We got to put this side back together, go over to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, so we gotta move up to the front now. We need to get this trim off. I don't know if you see that, but we're dripping water right now, so sweet. The way that these come off in the Jeep is you can just kind of push the trim to one side and get your fingernail under it and pull it out. Push the trim to one side, get your fingernail under it, push it out. Now we've got a 10 millimeter setup here that is not going to work because I need a 1/4 inch drive. So I will be right back. Can't snap, I guess it's not going to work. Boom! No? Whatever. Okay. So Mr. Long is not a master YouTuber. So what we're going to do is pull these two 10 millimeter bolts out. Oh, so there's one, the second one. And then there's the other one. Let's go there. This trim just pulls down. And now what that gives us access to right there is I can pull the edge of this down. Weak sauce. Got one more thing. I got to pull these, which are 8 millimeters. So I need to pull those too. And then we can get the edge of that down. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Did pull the screws out of that and you can see we've got a lot more. Oh, see, the clips popped out. We're being held in by the other side. We have a lot more play here now. So what I can do is pull this down and reach up and pull the hose off. And here's the hose. We're going to blow it out like before. Now this is one that was completely plugged, so we're going to give this a shot. So this is one that definitely had a restriction, and I could hear, even after holding it on for a couple seconds, you can hear the dirt kind of hitting its way down this convoluted tubing. And so I think we nailed it. I'm going to put this back together. I'm going to do the other side off camera because this is already like a 20-minute video. This is killing me. And then what we're, oh my goodness, Mr. Long didn't have his safety glasses on, and it was just like, boom, out of nowhere, they just fell on after he needed them. So I'll make sure to wear them on the next side, and then we'll meet back up when we test this again, okay? Beautiful. Good, even flow. Consistent flow. Hey, look at that. We got water coming out. This is from the passenger rear. This is the place that I wasn't getting water before. And I am now. Okay, now let's watch the front ones. So this one worked before. Hopefully we didn't screw it up. Okay, we're getting a nice consistent drip run out of there. Perfect, so let's go to the other side. Now this was the side that wasn't flowing before, and we have great flow, tons of water coming out of this one. I imagine, I went really light on the water on the other side, and I imagine that's what's different. But this was one that wasn't flowing before and now is. So this one is fixed. So I realize this begs a question. Mr. Long, you made that look so easy that a caveman could do it, so long as the caveman had compressed air. And you know what, Mr. Long, I don't have compressed air. And to that I say you're totally right. The compressed air is a huge part of the process to do this as cleanly and as thoroughly as we did, or to get it as clean, as thoroughly as we did, to verify that the drain tubes are blown out well enough. But if you don't have compressed air available, go to any office supply store and buy a can of compressed air. They sell it like for dusting keyboards and stuff, and that will make a big dent in the problem. Just keep in mind as you're blowing the hoses out that the straw on them is so small, you're probably going to need to seal around the straw. Otherwise, any obstruction in that tube is just going to come right back out around the straw. So keep that in mind, and you should have the tools, you should be able to get the tools to get this done. And for an equally awkward closing shot, today we talked about the sunroof drain channel, the sunroof drain tubes. This is not the end all be all for water leaks in your car, but it's definitely something to consider anytime that you have water getting in the vehicle. Water getting in the vehicle is a problem because it'll lead to mold and mildew, which is going to come back as health problems for you, friends, kids that ride in the car. So water leaks are important to take care of. One of the other things that needs to happen is in my car I have WeatherTech floor liners, and those actually kind of seal off the carpet where they are, and it's going to take forever for the carpet to dry out. So I'm actually going to be removing those floor liners so that the carpet can breathe better, and I'm going to, every time I drive this for a little while, I'm going to make sure that my floor heat is on, so I'm blowing hot air on my carpet to hopefully get that dried out as quick as possible. Using a shop vac to get all the big wet moisture out is super helpful too. But you don't want to just let water leaks go. So hopefully this gave you some good tips and tricks to start the process of figuring out where water's coming in your vehicle. That gigantic hole in your roof is always going to be one of the first places to go. So hopefully this helped, and until next time, later.